Greetings, nerds. This is SNN Nerd. I'm your host, Sarah Belmont, and with me, as always, is our Mr. Producer, Will Polk. How are you doing tonight, Will?
I'm doing well. Happy Diwali, everyone, and happy Election Day or sad Election Day. Depends on what happens tonight. But yeah, it's a good Tuesday.
That we've talked about this. You're not to get political on the show.
I'm not getting political, but it's just an event of the day. That's all.
Will.
Like I said, I recognize some people will be happy today. Some people will be sad. But again, it's happy Diwali, so light conquers darkness. So
All right. You've been watching too many superhero shows. And on that note, it is not just us again. We have a brand new guest host, fresh from the series regulars TV website. She's awesome. She shares my name, not Will's, but mine. Everyone welcome Sarah Jeanne.
I'm so glad to be here. I'm very excited, and I'm glad we share the same name.
We do. We do. We spell it slightly differently. Our middle names are spelled differently, but it's the same. And we're Team Arrow.
Yeah, we are.
Oh man.
Right.
Well,
I'm representing Team Flash on a non-Flash day, so.
Yeah. You wear that Flash costume.
I will do so. I will do so next Tuesday. Y'all look for it. I will have it on.
All right. Sarah, because this is your first time on the show, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things you're doing over at Series Regulars?
Sure. So, we started Series Regulars in June, and I went into it full force. I cover Arrow, all three of the Chicago series, which makes for a hectic Wednesday. Yeah, so I do my best to review while I'm watching and get the review out within 5 to 10 minutes after the show is over. And I've been doing well, but it's a difficult 3 hours while I'm live tweeting.
Yeah. Okay, well, because you probably don't know what Chicago is. Chicago are 3 shows, connected universe, but they're not based off of superheroes. They're based off of first responders. So you have the firefighters, you have the police, and then you have medical drama, okay?
Okay. Thank you for that condescension. Thank you.
She broke it down for me. It was perfect.
Yeah.
I also cover The Rookie, which is a great new cop drama.
Is it?
It's so good. It's amazing.
Why? You gotta tell me it's procedural.
Well, so see, it's not a procedural. It's so much better than that. John Nolan, life is going like crap. He just got divorced. He's just not feeling it. He's he's a victim involved in a bank robbery, and he is super brave, and he decides, you know what? I might be in my 40s, but I'm going to change the world. I'm going to be a cop, and that's the way it's going to be. And it's played by Nathan Fillion, if that doesn't sell it for you.
Well, when you said John Nolan, I instantly was like, I didn't know he was writing it, because John Nolan wrote The Dark Knight and Westworld, and I was like, whoa, okay, you did sell me. And then that was the character's name, so.
But we've also got Eric Winter, who is amazing, and it's just the perfect mix of action, comedy, drama, and some seriously gritty and realistic situations, especially since it is based off of a true cop. So, maybe I didn't sell you, but if you check out that first episode, it will sell itself.
Huh. Well, I was interested in it, but I will, now that you're the first person I've actually talked to who's actually watched it, so I will go check it out.
I'm gonna get Sarah though, because I will say this: the other series regulars girls were shocked, because I also do a few podcasts there, and I proclaimed for everyone to hear that I love The Rookie as much as I love the Arrow. So
We've just met.
Yeah. That was a lot. There was a good 15 seconds of stunned silence.
Mm.
Where they're like, Sarah, are you gonna go that far? I did. I went that far.
Huh. Interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out, but maybe I won't. I'm stubborn like that. Sometimes when people want me to watch things, I don't. Will can attest to this.
Yes, Ozark.
Yeah. Like, I'm the only person who started watching Ozark season 1, and I'm like, yeah, how about not? Everybody else is like, it's the best thing ever. I'm like, it didn't really work for me.
It did not work for you at all.
I do my best to give everything a shot. I do my best. They
Yeah.
don't always make it there, but
You know, I knew there were people like you that existed, and I appreciate that. It's not that I don't give everything a shot. It's just that I also find that I find shows when I'm supposed to. There's a lot of shows I was late to, and I'm actually more glad I was late to them than if I'd started from the beginning, because then I start to wonder if I would have felt about it the same way had I caught on from the first episode.
But that's why people like me exist, so that we can help the other people find them later.
It's not a disability, Sarah. All right.
Maybe it's a superpower.
You said your pitch. We get it. Let's talk about heroes without any powers, okay?
All right.
All right. So, if you're so Team Arrow, how are you feeling about season 7 so far?
I am in love with so many things, but I also find that it's the kind of season that there's no in between for me anymore. I either love part of what's going on or I hate it. So right now I'm hating Dinah's attitude. But I'm loving Felicity's badassery.
Yeah. That's it? Nothing else?
Well, I'm hating Oliver being in prison, but I am kind of, and I shouldn't say it, but I'm kind of loving the angst that we're getting from it as a result.
Oh, the angst.
Yes, I know. I've become a teenager again.
That's what these shows do.
They do.
Magic.
Yeah.
I will never utter those words ever again, but that's what happened. I really want an explanation about Roy, and it's killing me.
It's only been episode 4.
I know, but it's killing me. I need to know right now. I want to know what happened to Thea. I want to know why he's on Me and You. I just want to know so many things, and I've never cared so much about a storyline that didn't involve Felicity directly.
Yes, this brings up a good point, because in watching episode 4, level 2, earlier today, I was thinking about how this season, more so than any other season, I have been fine watching storylines play out involving characters that are not named Felicity Smoke. And that's bizarre for me.
It's weird. It's weird, yeah.
It's very disorienting, and I commend the writers, because I'm like, I never thought I would see the day where I would be fine with her only having such a small part and not be irritated anytime Katie Cassidy is on the screen. Whoa, I went too far. Sorry about that. But I still, and for me, I'm not even having problems with Dinah's attitude. I feel like the writers, and more so even in this episode, they've really taken Zoe, Renee, and Dinah to fill that Elicity Queen family drama void that we have, because they're all separated. And I feel like the writers are doing a smart job using these other characters who we've always known and have watched developed over the last few seasons, and anchor the show in that way. And it allows Oliver, Felicity, and William to go down these separate paths without it feeling like the show is falling apart.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think for me that it's good to see those supporting characters grow, especially how their growth was was stunted last season with the repetitive new Team Arrow versus old Team Arrow spying, distrust, over dramatic, what we had last season. So for me, it's good to see those different sides. And Sarah, I read your review, and I see where you're coming from as far as not feeling Donna, but I like how she is sort of, she's trying to grow from being a vigilante in a very undercover, world before that. And she even referenced it in Universe as far as when she was talking to Diggle, about how she is trying to, reestablish trust in the police department and grow beyond what she has done in the past. And same with Renee, especially when, last season we had him betraying the team, betraying Oliver, telling the FBI, flipping on them, and then now here he is trying to, fill that void of being the, quasi vigilante and trying to help preserve the Glades from the gentrification that is happening to it. So, for me, it's been refreshing with seeing these supporting characters grow this season. And also just gives the show, as you mentioned before, another anchor that it can support itself on, and not necessarily rise and fall with Oliver's fortunes being in prison.
That's true. That's a good point. I feel like I'll be better once I can officially get over my anger with Renee.
Why are you so mad at Renee?
Because I blame him like I blame Barry, It's just always Renee's fault. Like,
why Renee? What did Renee do?
With his flipping on Oliver, and
yeah,
it was just like
that
it was just
so
a hard,
season.
it was a rock and a hard place. And like, I get he was trying to reunite himself with his kid, but Oliver was also trying to stay with his kid. And I don't know. I like to think that if the situation was reversed, Oliver would have found another way, but maybe not. For Dinah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I felt like she was so passionate about being a vigilante before.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's so passionate about kind of hating on them. I don't know. Maybe if I give her a little more time too.
Yeah, 5 months ago you were just like, I'm all about being Miss Vigilante. Now you're like, I'm Miss Super Cop.
Yeah, like if you're a vigilante, I'm going to arrest you. And then she arrested Renee. So I was like, oh well. Like, I just felt like we were in another Earth where she had just completely forgotten where she was a vigilante not that long ago.
Yeah. I see that. I guess like, I like that scene between Diggle and Dinah in the episode, because that really highlighted the fact that both of these characters, and Diggle, for some reason, I think maybe his reluctance or everything, him kind of breaking ties with Felicity in a way, made sense in terms of him protecting his family, but it's very parallel to what Dinah's doing. Only the difference is Dinah doesn't have a family to protect. She's instead taking on all of Star City, or Starling City, to protect, and the only way she can is with her job now with the vigilantes. But I think the writers are setting up a good payoff because of that. What occurs in this episode, in the sense that we find out in the future the rules are reversed, kinda. Because it sounds like Renee has allegiance to the Glades, and the Glades has overtaken everything. And meanwhile, Dinah's leading the charge on on the vigilante resistance. Which, and by the way, maybe why, like, I'm not no shipper or anything, but I think Dinah and Renee have some sparks going on.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, actually.
Chemistry.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, and I was just like, no, I don't go down that path, Will. Don't go down that path. But but I mean, they have been pretty electric on the screen this season.
See, Will is a shipper. I'm not.
Oh, you're not a shipper?
No, I am.
Oh God,
I was
Sarah,
gonna say, I was like, wait a second.
Belmont, don't even Belmont. Don't even.
I make videos about it, Sarah. It's really sad.
Yes,
I love it.
You have a YouTube channel. Yes, I was going to say.
I'm such a shipper, and so I try to, because I know that I feel like I see relationships everywhere when I watch a show. As soon as I get that feeling, I'm like, don't do it. Nope, don't. You don't need another one. This isn't happening. But I'm really glad that you said that, because now I'm not alone in seeing what's happening between.
Oh, so we're all on the same page?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's there.
This is a good support group to have. It's very funny, because it's interesting how it's kind of everybody's seeing it, but it's also kind of like, why don't I want to commit to that? No, I should change the subject. Okay, we'll change the subject. That's fine. That's
no,
cool.
No. I think it's totally good. It's totally cool. I mean, like I said, I'm just glad It's good to know that I'm not alone.
So this episode, I kind of feel, is a little bit out of place for me. This episode reminds me of last season. That my favorite episode of the season was when Adrian no, this was a few seasons ago. No, he sees Adrian Chase. He sees Prometheus in it. It's when he's like injected with.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. It was last season.
Yeah. So it's like this idea that Oliver kind of comes to terms with who he is, but to me, I feel like this episode usually occurs in the season, episode 18, 17, it's kind of like that filler one-off. So having it be episode 4 was kind of disorienting. I don't know, Sarah, how did you feel about Oliver reflecting on his father's sins?
I'm kind of feeling like you. I was absolutely getting like season 1 vibes a few times. With talking about like the community talking about the Glades and the condition of the Glades, I was like, whoa, did we just go back in time 6 years? Very much, yeah. I mean, it seemed a lot of things were just very disorienting, and I like that you used that word, because part of me feels like maybe the writers have a real plan, and they have Oliver feeling disoriented, so maybe they wanted the fans feeling his pain.
Yeah. I mean, this episode reminded me of oh gosh, I want to say that it was it was like another version of Purgatory of something, where he was going through this mental, emotional trial in level 2, and to bring my Star Trek geekdom out here, reminded me of an episode where Picard was taken captured by the Cardassians, and he was continuing to be interrogated by the Cardassian to basically to break him and to convince him that there were 4 lights instead of 5 lights. And each time that the doctor came to interview Oliver and said, "What's your name?" It was one of those things where I was like, okay, they're just trying to break him, and is this going to succeed, or is Oliver's strong will going to win out? And so it's very interesting as we get to that part of the episode where Oliver and William are on the raft together, and Oliver is replaying that moment, and when you think back to what was it with Oliver with Robert Queen? He wanted Oliver to survive, and Oliver tells William to live, and it really showed the core and the love that Oliver has for William, and hopefully
medicine.
Yeah, or it could have been a medicine, or or it could just be how he wants him to break that chain and not go down the path of vigilantism that he has had.
Man, and in your whole Star Trek reference, I had to bite my tongue because I really wanted to chime in. Like, are you referring to the Kardashians? It sounds so similar.
Yeah. I might have said Kardashians. It's possible. It's been a long day.
I struggle with it. The one scene that they haven't explicitly shown before or really connected is the scene between Oliver and William on the boat. Like that change of father-son dynamic. But a part of the biggest thing I have with this episode is that I actually felt like it was too exposition. A lot of like Team Arrow know about Oliver's real demons, and I don't feel like the writers have to spend 40 minutes explaining that to the viewers. I really don't. And so at some parts it felt like they were reading fan fiction and they were just saying it as the dialogue, and I'm like, there's no nuance. Like, you're telling me things that the characters should be just portraying, and we can come to our own conclusions. We don't need you to spell it out for us about the psychology of or mental state of Oliver Queen and about the legacy. Why not leave that for speculation? Why spend so much time on explicitly explaining that?
I feel like they do that a lot, though, now that you mention it. I mean, I feel like that's something we've seen before where they just, are they trying to hit that point home again for the 100th and some time? Because, we get it.
Yeah. Well, Will, unless you're what is it called? It's been a while since I've been in school. Killing the curve. I don't know. You guys gotta help me. I'm drowning here right now. I just said a lot of information. I need a little reprieve. And that's really my point, though, that I feel like I've seen this explained every season, at least one episode, if not more, and I don't get, and all it really is kind of also just taking a magnaphone and being like, future Will is now in present day as a vigilante. The cycle continues.
Yeah.
No, it like really, like Beth should be smarter. She's been in that room. She knows what we know.
Yeah. Well, I think obviously it was some setup for the next part of this mini arc, and so yeah, we've been down the road before, but I think and it's interesting, Sarah B, that you say that because when we first talked about this episode and you saw the promo for it, you were like super excited for it because you were like really wanted to see what was going to happen at level 32. So
don't take my naive promo watching words against me. Don't change this on me.
I'm just pointing out the fact that yes, I'm just pointing out. I guess I'm just reiterating how disappointed you were because we have been down this road before. We thought it was teased as one thing and executed as another. But I think it was a set. Yeah, but yes. I think but I do think it was execute, and I guess it goes back to my earlier point that with this prison arc that Oliver is in, yes, it has given the other characters on the show the opportunity to grow and to shine, and I think for me that makes for a better. It's made for me a better season so far because we get the shipping of Diana and Renee, but kidding aside, and also this new this flash forward that they're doing with William and Roy, and opening up all these new stories that we have that could happen, and Beth has made clear that it's not any Barry doing it or anything else or any meta powers that are going on here. So it's the potential future that we'll have with Arrow, and so it's interesting. And the big drop.
Wait.
With the big, hang on, let me just finish one point, and also just a big drop of Felicity not being with us in the future. So
Right. Okay. But you didn't say that. You said potential future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and Sarah, feel free to chime in. So Beth Schwartz already went out there and said that you can't blame Barry. Okay, we'll blame Nora. But did she say, did she really refer to it as a potential future of Starling City?
I believe that is what she I think she said that something similar to, that just is a potential future, but I think that she was more or less saying, the big idea is that the future can always change, or the future is always open for change.
Right, which is exactly what they explained on The Flash earlier this season. They're like, oh no, there are certain moments that are permanent, are fixed, and then there are some soft moments.
Mm-hmm.
And so this future could still be a soft moment, and that's when we change our anger from The Flash and we divert it to Legends of Tomorrow, because what the heck is with that little stuffed animal? It's been popping up.
It's everywhere.
I feel like they brought him on, and fans went nuts, and they were like, "That's it. He needs to make his presence known in every single Arrowverse show."
Yeah. It's all a part of this, marketing and just getting, revenue from Christmas is coming, Sarah. So people are like, let's get Devo dolls out there.
I swear, if it's all a marketing ploy and it really doesn't have anything to do with what's happening, I'm going to be mad. At least it should be something that triggers a crossover,
Oh,
I mean,
if it shows up, well, let's bookmark that for the crossover. All right. Let's mark it tonight.
Supergirl.
No, like Elseworlds.
Yeah.
I know. Hell, it's crossover. It's hit every other show, but I just wonder if Bebo is going to show up in Elseworlds crossover in some capacity.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it could. Yeah. I think that's what they're doing. They're taking the little blue, in your face stuffed animal and being like, Elseworlds. That's what it's saying. Oh, I took it too far. I'll take a step back. No, I went too far. I find it hard because the more I watch this, because while Sarah's over here wondering what happened to Roy, I'm like, why is he in that suit? Why does it look like he gained 15 pounds? He was on an island. It's very I have a hard time thinking that there isn't something else going on. It's Legends of Tomorrow. They already had the Star City 2045, I think, or 2035, where actually I think they reused some of the same sets for these flash forwards, because Starling City back then is very similar to how they're portraying it in the future. So they could be doing kind of a similar connective thread there. But I think if you do connect both of those potential futures, then the idea is that the cycle is just still continuing. Oliver's not making the choice that would change Star City from ever not falling.
Well, I have a far-fetched theory.
Well, you already heard 5 of mine, so lay it on us.
So in episode 4, there were a lot of clues that are leading me to believe that maybe the flash forwards that we're seeing have to do with Earth 2.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say that and then I got distracted.
I put that out and people were like, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, okay, but listen, you're talking about a show that for the past 6 seasons, everything means something. Everything. It's all a clue. So, you have Laurel talking about, the Felicity on Meyer owns her big company. And then immediately flash forward to Smoke Technologies. And it makes it right. And it makes it more believable with William saying they abandoned him. And it would make it make a little more sense to have Roy alone on an island and having gained weight.
And on an island that was vaporized.
Yeah, so I'm like, I feel like I'm putting these pieces together, and you have these people who are like, you're sounding crazy, and I can't help it.
So, okay. The one flaw, though, is William. How do you explain William? Because no, he could have still knocked up Samantha.
Oliver Queen is the womanizer on every Earth at one point or another.
Yeah, but then aren't we dealing with the Back to the Future kind of thing where it has to be the same?
Yeah.
Never mind.
We are.
Okay, we are. Yeah. I honestly, when they did that drop of Earth 2 Felicity Smoke, I was kind of like, well, it's about time. Also, it better get paid off. I better see this character. And then I was like you, and I was suddenly like, maybe we are seeing Earth 2 versions of everyone, because why not? Why let the Flash have all the fun?
Yeah, and we have Laurel from Earth 2, giving us all this inside info.
That's not something to brag about, okay?
I'm a rare breed. I am an Elicity/Laurel lover.
I saw the tweet.
I am. People don't believe it. They're like, you can't like both. I do. There have been times where I have not been a fan of hers, but that team up between them, it was pretty beautiful to watch.
It was. As someone who doesn't fall in either camp, I enjoyed that sequence last night, and it was. I was like, why haven't we had this before?
I want more.
Yeah.
I want more.
Yeah. Okay. So did you like Katie Cassidy before she was on the show?
I first saw her in Supernatural, and I liked her.
Yeah.
And I saw her in the new Nightmare on Elm Street. And I didn't really enjoy her in the first season of Arrow, but she got better, and then she died, and I was like, well, there goes that.
Because for me, it's the whole writing issues with that character is one thing, but I did not watch the first season of Arrow immediately because I actually didn't like Katie Cassidy at all as an actress, and I didn't like Stephen Amell as an actor.
Really?
And then I watched, I swear to God, and then I was born and I started watching, and I fell in love with Stephen Amell. Still cannot stand Katie Cassidy. So that's where I'm coming from. I have actor baggage, which the writers didn't help.
Oh my God, it's like the curse of the Black Canary. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that character that they have such a hard time writing.
Well, maybe they'll do it better on the big screen. There's a new actress who's going to play her who's from Friday Night Lights fame, so I can't say her name.
Only time can tell.
Huh?
Only time will tell.
Yeah.
It's certainly not
excited for it.
Yeah, it's how many times people do the distinction of somebody will say, well, Sarah was the Black Canary first, and then you'll have no, she wasn't, she was just the Canary. But I mean, wasn't she still kind of the Black Canary? Like, and they were like, oh, we didn't do it right. Bring in Laurel. And then, oh, we didn't do it right. Let's kill her, but we'll bring her back. Like, it seems very difficult for them.
Yeah, I don't know why Zoe's running around being a canary. It's not like it's a cool thing to be. Okay.
Well, I'm not as much, I try, but I'm not as much into the comic portion of it all. I've read some here and there, and they're really straying at this point, which I suppose it's fair. It's fair. You know, They have their creative license.
Yeah, don't get too hung up on the comic, because I mean it's the same with the Flash, and yeah, you'll just end up hurting your brain and getting super disappointed. So I tell people all the time on Twitter, like, look, these shows, remember, it's based upon. Remember that.
Yes.
Remember that. Yep. And if you do, then you can watch them and just enjoy them for what they are.
It's a different medium.
Yeah.
And the story, you're using different things to tell the same story. Different things matter. Like, the actors who play these parts really do make a difference. The casting is huge with these shows' success and failures, and characters being really good or characters being really bad. And I think on that note, let's head over to National City, because that Supergirl is impressing me currently with some of the characters they've added to the lineup. I mean, last episode we got Ben Lockwood. We really got Sam Witwer, like, just nailing the game. And now I have Manchester Black. Like, I'm just loving these characters that they're adding. I don't know. I want Manchester Black to do an audiobook about Supergirl season 4, because I just want to listen to the accent. It is so freaking charming.
I don't think you're alone in that.
Like, dude, you could be making money.
Yeah.
Oh,
he
man.
is.
Oh, man. Will, what about your thoughts? I mean, coming from that great episode of Man of Steel last week to this one, where are you right now with the show?
So, I know last week you gave me grief about being prisoner of the moment, and I'm going to continue to be your prisoner of the moment, because I feel like the first quarter or so of Supergirl's season has just been awesome. I mean, it has been hitting all the beats, and this episode did not disappoint. Even though I had to stop cringing a bit with the Iron Man, costume, but other than that, I really enjoyed the episode. And Manchester Black is a strong supporting character. Sam Witwer just brought it, and why I think if things continue on the path that they're going with Agent of Liberty, this character will go down, as far as the top 3, Arrowverse villains easily. Right. So I mean, it'll be like, Reverse Flash, Prometheus, and then Agent of Liberty will be my top 3. If it continues on this path. Yeah. And so I overall really enjoyed the episode. There are a couple things that I liked how they brought Fiona back into the mix, because actually I thought she was dead.
I forgot about her.
Yeah, well, I thought she was dead, so I was like, oh, with Manchester Black's introduction and his, when he goes to John's apartment and they meet and everything, and I'm like, wait a minute, I thought she was not with us anymore, but I guess she is. But they took care of that at the end of the episode. So,
so cold. He had a moment. I actually thought like that moment having only known that character for such a brief period of time, I didn't cry, but I definitely was emotionally moved.
I was
The
too.
only
Yeah.
hard part was he shouldn't have stopped. I know what they were doing and why, like, the switch flipped, but it still was way too abrupt. Like, that actor was killing that scene, and then they went the cheesy route, in my
Yeah, they did.
opinion.
They did.
Yeah.
They did because it was a very it was a very powerful emotional moment, and it was definitely one of those moments of TV where you do stop what you're doing and really pay attention to it and get emotionally invested. Um, and yeah, and they did do the bad Arrowverse cut to like, everything's back to hero days, but
Well,
yes,
it's what he was explaining to John about the anger and what Fiona taught him about how to control it. Well, suddenly she's gone, and so he shut his emotions off, and he's going that route because obviously the not being able to protect her, he blames himself, so he's gonna go the Oliver Queen route of redemption. So
yeah.
he's going to level 2. I don't know. Sarah, what about you? What are your thoughts on Supergirl season 4 and this episode in particular?
I'm going to call it and say that this is going to be my favorite season so far. which is actually really early for me because I wait until at least halfway through. I'm a huge fan of Sam Witwer. Huge fan. I think that he was just absolutely killing it. And
Have you seen the Schmodown?
yeah.
You have? Are
Yeah.
you serious?
Okay, gosh. Okay, this is like
I'm like
wow. Earth
I'm
1 and
like
Earth 2 have collided.
I'm like just so I love Sam Witwer. I just love him.
No, you're like the only guest host we've ever brought on who actually has seen Collider Schmodown. So, all right, I'll let you continue, but that's amazing.
I do my best to, when I like an actor and I'll like go on like IMDb and I'll be like, okay, like let's do some research. But I'm actually really liking Lena a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't want to say that I've struggled with her character, but sometimes I feel like I'm just kind of over her. And I'm kind of like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for more. Like, let's give her some more of those storylines. I want to see it. So I'm really eager to see where things go from here because these characters are just this is like the best character season ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And the same point I made about Arrow before with this episode too. I mean, really, this was the supporting cast driving the show this week, and they yeah. I mean, it's each character had some significant moments of growth, which I think is why I'm liking this season of Supergirl because I feel like the characters are growing, and whereas last season by the end everyone had stagnated and it was just like, okay, yes, let's wipe the slate clean, let's let's write some people off the show, let's bring in some new characters and stuff, and so far it's paying off because I do feel, for example, with Alex and her new role in the DEO, I mean John and trying to live up to the expectations of his father, and 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 also helping to still be in that mentor role for Alex as she's just going through her struggles as being leader of the DEO and things that are playing out due to the anti-alien sentiment, um, and just the challenges that they're having within their own ranks, where you having all these members going off and working with Mercy and Otis Graves and uh, each one of those individual moments has allowed for these characters to grow and show different parts of themselves, different parts of the story, and I'm liking that, and it's making it for a very interesting watch.
Right. I think the last two episodes have proved to me I may like this show better without Kara. I mean, it's painfully obvious to me that part of the reason why they're having these episodes like with very minimal scenes with Melissa is that she did a play earlier this year, and I thought it was odd. I'm like, how are you shooting Supergirl if you're going to do this play? I don't get it. And now I understand what the workaround that they did, but it was clever. Like,
Yeah.
I know when I first saw the trailer for the season, I saw the Power Rangers suit because that's what it is. It's not whatever you called it. Well, it's Power
Iron Man.
Rangers.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
It's Power
Well,
Rangers.
yeah,
Power
the graph.
Rangers.
Well, the reason why I thought Iron Man was just the display, the heads-up display that they had. But yeah, you're right. It is Power Rangers.
So Power Rangers. And I was just like, ooh, this show is going off to a very different place, and I don't know if I'm going to be on board. And I'm very surprised by how on board with this season I have been. I still don't know if I'm going to remain on the train though, because the Soviet Union Kara scares me in a way. Like I'm like, did we jump the shark? Did we do the duplicate her? Because if I like the show better without Kara, why would I like the show more with two Karas?
Fair
And you
point.
both laugh because you know it's true.
Yeah.
I definitely won't disagree. Reagan will just be crying later when she hears it, but I'm not. Sometimes there are times where I have to force myself to just keep going with the show. And right now, I'm not feeling that way, but I'm completely with you that I'm not sure if it's going to stay that way.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it stays on track with my prediction that it will be my favorite season ever, but I don't know.
Right, because who knows? Next episode they could kill Agent Liberty, and I would be like, "Well, I'm off because
Yeah. Yeah.
Sam brought me, and I'm sticking, and that's a waste." She's pretty good, and which this episode I was surprised they killed the Grave
Yeah.
siblings, right?
It
Yes.
appears so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not see that, but that tells me that the writers are actively watching what's happening and be like, yeah, they're just henchmen. That's not the true villain. The true villain is what this character actor is doing over here. We're gonna follow Whitwer all the way. Which I want to make sure we talk about this. I think and I'm mad, Will, that we didn't talk about this more last episode when it was brought up. But what they did at the end in terms of James, because they hinted that this could be potentially the trajectory of him last episode too, but it was really compelling when he sees that article and realizes how him being a human, protecting humans, is being twisted for this resistance or this this anti-alien sentiment. And it goes back to what you were saying before about and it kind of alludes to this idea that these characters, Alex is a DEO director, but she's also Kara's sister. She's also a human. And she can't and it's hard to balance her sister who's an alien with DEO, who's in charge to protect humans and aliens alike and protect the Earth, but it's very complicated, and I think there's a lot of allegiance being tested, and that's why you're seeing these characters feel like they're pushed in the corner and their backs are up against the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. They are. Yeah. I can't really add much more to that than what you said. I 100% agree with you there. But again, but I will say those tensions does make for very interesting storytelling. And again, we were talking about allegories as well, and picking sides and those kind of things. I think that's where this Soviet Union Kara is going to come into play. because she obviously will have the same abilities, but given that she has grown up with a different worldview than our American Kara, it'll be, will she end up being Agent Liberty's, new henchman, or, well, foil to basically prove his point about how if Supergirl and all these other aliens would just leave the planet, then life would be so much better. And how he's manipulated James into basically becoming this hero for humanity. It was just super well played, and a good and a nice workaround for the writers to basically give Guardian relevance again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just waiting for them to reveal that Soviet Union Kara is from the Drago bloodline.
Yeah. Well, I guess I shouldn't say Soviet Union. Correct. I meant Russian. Well,
Russian.
Yeah, Kara.
Tomato. It's Earth 19. Who knows?
Yeah, Earth 30. Yeah, communism.
I always say Earth 19. I have no idea where I created that in my own mind.
Yeah, well, I will say, again, bringing in my other passion, Star Trek. It was nice to see the steady ills in this episode. Things that were going into people's ears. Anybody who's watched Star Trek 2 will get that reference. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on you, Sarah. One day you will relent and you will watch it.
My brothers ruined it for me. Okay, never gonna happen. I have Battlestar Galactica, and that's all I need.
All right, fair enough.
All right. So, any final thoughts on Supergirl episode 4? Wow.
Let's just hope it gets better. It just keeps getting better.
I'm just
consistency.
Consistency. I'm liking these. I'm liking these mini arcs that they're doing with these characters. So let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going. All right. And on that note, Sarah, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Sarah_Jeanne17.
And Will, where can our listeners find you?
Yes, you can find me at Will M. Polk. That's WILLMPOLK.
And you can follow me on Twitter at SJ Belmont, SJBELMONT. Please follow our crew on Twitter at CNN Nerd. Friend us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. But most importantly, rate, subscribe, and comment on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Good night. Geek out. You're welcome.